In the dark at the end of day 30, I'm watching Portuguese series, trying to understand what they are saying. I think for myself this is totally useless. I wasted a month of my life on Netflix. I'll never start speaking Portuguese this way. But then, out of nowhere, something changes. O que aconteceu com Maralto? Por que ele está sabotando a concha? I realized that short Portuguese phrases somehow start popping up in my mind. I'm a researcher by nature. I love to explore the ways people learn languages. I spent hours and hours reading the scientific research, papers, case studies, polyglots' biographies. My dream is to find the easiest way for us to absorb languages. My life would be miserable forever if I don't succeed in that. A month ago I tried to combine something fun and practical in order to learn Portuguese. Well, not just learn, but start speaking it. Você entende agora meu português? I assume that we can learn a language by listening to great stories, which is known as compelling input. The content in the language has to be somehow attractive for us in order to keep our language device engaged. Therefore, I modeled a unique system that I will use for 30 days to start speaking Portuguese. Then I based my system on 3 key pillars that I call WAF. Easy to remember, ALF, right? W stands for variety of input, watching different things, listening to different persons, speaking Portuguese, listening to different accents, listening to Portuguese from different countries, but also getting used to different ways of speaking Portuguese. A means awesome content. I will need hours of series and movies on Netflix that I'm going to watch, covering topics that I'm interested in, such as crime, action, science fiction, etc. F is short of fixed schedule. I will book time during the day when I'm going to watch the content on Netflix. I'm of those enthusiasts that believe dedication is really a cornerstone for mastering the language. I knew that my system would never work out without these 3 solid foundations. But here is exactly what I did in order to start speaking Portuguese. First, I took my PC and I made a Netflix account. Second, I selected a bunch of interesting series that I was supposed to watch for next month. I wanted to spend at least 2 hours every day watching them. I thought that the evening would be the most suitable time for me since I have a full-time job. Thus, I would divide my time watching at least 1 episode at once so that I will have continuity and would not distract the process of acquisition. I knew I could watch a bit more during weekend since I have much less obligations. Third, I tried to isolate myself during Netflix hours. I've decided to remove all distractions while watching Netflix. I would put my phone on airplane mode. With Alf, it's easy because he usually sleeps in the evening. Hence, I would make myself unavailable during these hours, which I believe is important. Also, if at any moment I feel I'm losing focus from the content, I decided to pause the video and take a small break. Fourth, I've decided to be active while watching Netflix, especially at the very beginning. Stopping the video, repeating the parts I didn't understand and interesting phrases, repeating the pronunciation of interesting words and phrases. Fifth, I would keep track records of my time spent with Portuguese after watching every episode, as I do for all languages, to keep myself accountable. Okay, let me explain my system and logic. I'm already fluent in French and Italian, and for me this seemed to be an ideal immersion model to try. Actually, I believe that this system in my case will provide natural acquisition of Portuguese in a very short term. Since these Romance languages have the same origin, many words and sounds would most probably already be familiar to me, same tenses, the structure of the sentence, and many more. But just as I thought I created the perfect system, I realized that there is something missing. I tried it and I just figured out I couldn't understand an amount of the content. That's why I combined Netflix with LinguaPipe tools using my account that I already had for this platform. If you want to learn more about LinguaPipe features, click on the card above. Hence, while watching the Netflix content during 30 days, I was always using both subtitles in Portuguese and English.
Aposentou do Little.
In the first couple of days, I slowed down the pace of videos so I can hear better. I was already able to discern patterns in pronunciation of words in Portuguese. Literally, after a couple of days, I was able to read all subtitles almost without any mistakes. I use Lingopie tools to check the pronunciation of the words.
Bom dia.
If you don't have Lingopie account, don't worry because you can check the pronunciation on Google Translate. There is always the free alternative.
Mas fala, o que você quer de mim?
Então, eu quero que você me ensine como conseguir a vaga na empresa, assim como você fez.
I was already able to discern different tenses, patterns of different persons, and numbers, basic structures. I memorize words that I find repeating often. I use Lingopie tools to make flashcards and review them later. But you can make flashcards on your own as well. After 50 days, most of the time, I realize I can understand the context of narrative and new grammar structures. If there is a form that caught my eye, I would use this amazing Lingopie tool to see the explanation of the particular grammar rule, even though I try not to distract myself from watching the content too much.
Foi uma pena o Benfica ter perdido a final contra os ingleses.
After 20 days, I got used to the normal pace of speakers, starting paying attention on cultural aspects of language, slang, jokes, spirit of the language, intonation of speakers, on the elegance of the pronunciation, movements of mouth, mimics, common gesticulation. I started noticing different pronunciation between Portuguese spoken in Portugal and those between different areas of Brazil.
Nossa vez. Vem aqui, ó, atrás da linha aqui, ó. Só cuidado aí pra... O quê? Cadeira.
At the day 25, this is the time when I started to understand the context of the language, even when I don't totally understand every word. I started memorizing common expressions and understanding the common jokes in the language, enjoying the content even more in this way. O que aconteceu com Maralto? Por que ele estava sabotando a concha? I've heard one polyglot once saying that we learn a language only when we start thinking in the language, and this is exactly what I felt like with Portuguese after a month and hours of watching Netflix. Maybe my Portuguese is still not perfect and I make a bunch of mistakes, but I truly start thinking in Portuguese about this series and uttering the phrases in the language. Thus, in the following months, I will continue watching series in Portuguese and track my progress. And you tell me in the comments below, what do you think? Is it possible for me to achieve B2 level in Portuguese in this way in next 6 months? If you like this video, you'll definitely love the video I made about how I passed French DELF B2 exam without learning the language actually. Thus, click on that end button and come along. But don't forget to subscribe to the channel before doing that. See you soon!